get something done that really matters, sometimes you need to work with people you don't think of as typical collaborators. Now, collaboration is often defined as working together with others in order to get a shared goal. But collaborator can also be defined as traitorous cooperation with the enemy. Now, this is actually quite relevant to the talk that I'm going to do today, and I considered changing my title to this, but felt a little bit too abrasive. So instead, what I want to tell you about today is my experience with building a community of competitors with a shared goal of showing that their innovation was safe. Now, this community of competitors have changed an adversarial relationship into one of collaboration, and in doing so, they have saved money and resources and been able to expedite their product to the market. Now, first, let me tell you a little bit about myself. Do you remember Blinky, that three-eyed fish from The Simpsons? Well, he was actually the reason that I wanted to become an aquatic toxicologist. I really wanted to figure out about that whole three-eyed thing, and to be honest, I really haven't figured that out yet. But anyways, now I get to work for a company that works on the safety and sustainability of products. Now, we're a pretty modern-day company. There are 6 of us, and we're spread in offices all across North America. We all get to work from home, where one of the perks of the job is that I get to watch my chickens outside my window. And of course, with all the online tools that are available to us now, it's pretty easy to develop these communities all over the world. Now, one of the biggest risks a company can take is to not think about safety. Not only do you need it for regulatory authorization, but you want to make sure that your product is safe for your workers, for your customers, for your family and friends, for your chickens. Well, for my chickens. Anyways, companies need to have a long-term view of sustainability. You don't want to become the next asbestos or lead or DDT and leave a long legacy of environmental and human health issues. Now, in a world where some of our top sustainability issues include a throwaway culture leading to increases in ocean plastics, emissions of CO2 rising, food insecurity, and poor water quality, we need materials that can be renewable and help solve some of these issues. And so I wanted to introduce you to one of these magical materials that can help. This is the magic material. Oh, wait, that's right, you can't see anything. That's because this material is invisible to the naked eye. It's made by taking a tree and breaking it down and down and down and down and down again until you get the absolute smallest piece of tree. It's a cellulose nanomaterial. Now, cellulose nanomaterials are being made all over the globe, and they can be made from plants, so you can use agricultural waste or you can use food waste. They're also made from woody biomass, like trees and forest residues. And we know that these materials can improve applications in lots of different areas. We can use them in the biomedical field, food, cosmetics, and environmental remediation. And we've already tested these products in some applications. For example, we know that if we add cellulose nanomaterials to cement, it can be lighter and stronger, thereby reducing its environmental impact. Cellulose nanomaterials are already being used in things like pens to make the ink smoother, and also in paint in order to stop that dripping. In the future, cellulose nanomaterials can be used to make flexible and transparent electronic screens so that when you drop your phone, they don't smash. They can be also used to replace plastics, make your car lighter, and replace some toxics like some glues. Cellulose nanomaterials can also be used in some food products. So they can be used as an edible coating on some produce in order to extend the shelf life and also to protect them from pests, thereby helping with the food insecurity issue and food waste. We also know they can be used in the future in smart food packaging that will be able to detect when your food is spoiled. They can be used to remove toxins from your food, and they can even be used to make low-calorie meatballs. So we know that cellulose nanomaterials have a lot of amazing uses. But you probably know what I'm about to say here. The cellulose nanomaterials are going to be ubiquitous in our life, and so we need to make sure that they're safe. The unique and small properties of cellulose nanomaterials that make them awesome for all these applications also means that they have some safety concerns. We know there will be many forms and sizes and shapes and surface areas of these materials, and therefore every single company needs to make sure that their material is safe. And so they need to test the safety. But unfortunately, this isn't so easy. A lot of the standardized tests that we use for other chemicals cannot be used for nanomaterials. And so a company needs to invest the resources into developing new safety tests, hiring the right people, conferring with experts, redoing these tests, validating the tests, and going through authorization. And often, every single company does this on their own. So how do we reduce this down by 2, 3, 4, 7 times? Not by skipping any steps or by sneaking that product by the regulators. Well, of course, the answer is easy. Traitorous cooperation with the enemy. By working together, companies can reduce the amount of money they spend, reduce the number of resources, but most importantly, pool their assets and pool their brain power and fortitude. Now we know that a lot of competitors currently work together for product innovation. For example, huge players Sony and Samsung have worked together to make LCD panels. Universities have come together from all over the world in order to create huge educational online platforms that provide free education to millions, like Coursera and edX. And so all these competitors have gained from this product innovation and put them at the top of their field. But this doesn't really happen in safety. The usual situation is that you go to the Food and Drug Administration on behalf of one company for one product, and you go through the whole authorization process on your own. Now, our community wanted to try something different. We approached the Food and Drug Administration as a group of 7 industrial partners and asked if we could submit together. The FDA agreed, and so we've been able to save time and resources, and we've already seen the benefits of working together. One of the companies had a safety study that we had to do, and they had already done it internally. So they agreed that we could just split it between the 7 of us. We signed an agreement, split the costs, and save lots of valuable time and not having to run that again. One of the studies that we did cost over $400,000 to develop. Now, if every single one of those players had to do that study, that would have come to a total of $2.8 million. So we know there are benefits to working together. How did we get here? For our collaboration, there were 3 main ingredients: leadership, trust, and diversity. You need good leadership and out-of-the-box thinking in order to bring the players together and create a shared vision. You, of course, need trust amongst the partners so that you have an open sharing of resources. And of course, with such a large group of people, you have a good diversity, which brings in a bunch of new shared ideas, helps you solve problems quickly and efficiently, and also keeps checks and balances on each other. So in our group, the leader was Joanne Shatkin, who is the president and founder of my company. And she had this out-of-box thinking that started back in 2009. She attended her first cellulose nanomaterials conference, back when she didn't even really know what cellulose nanomaterials were, and saw the huge potential for these products to change lives. However, at that time, there was almost no safety data available. All of the producers were talking about the risks and benefits of bringing these products to the market. Meanwhile, a number of papers were being published on the amazing applications these products could have. But all these papers were outright saying that cellulose was safe and non-toxic simply because they were little parts of trees. Now, back in 2009, we had no data on this, and there was lots of uncertainty. And so Joanne recognized that this uncertainty about the safety of a material was going to hinder its innovation and hinder its commercialization. And so she started the ball rolling and started collecting producers and wanted to show that cellulose nanomaterials, a bio-based inert material, could be a keystone to show you could bring together community competitors and show that this new innovation was safe. Now, the industry followed suit a few years later in 2012. An industry-led consortium released the roadmap for the safe and sustainable commercialization of nanocellulose. And the vision in this roadmap was to bring nanocellulose and improve the lives of millions. Now, the very first recommendation in this roadmap was to establish public-private partnerships. Now, luckily, this industry has an organization that is a public-private partnership and has supported our community. This organization recognizes that funding product innovation is very important, but also sees the value in funding the research and methods development needed to prove that cellulose nanomaterials were safe. And this was really important for us back in 2012, because at that time, we were helping companies test the safety of their cellulose nanomaterials, but on a case-by-case basis. And so, after we gathered this community of competitors, we had lots of different producers, but we didn't really have that community feeling. The next thing we needed to establish was trust. Now, we built trust slowly. In the very beginning, all we did was collect all the publicly available data, ask the partners what they were willing to share with each other, and use this to open up the conversation and learn how we could hear so many voices. Next, we moved together to create a safety plan. We worked to look at all the data gaps and also to figure out where we needed more experts. We recognized that we needed commercial labs, research labs, government labs, and academic labs in order to make our research project successful. We brought in other experts, like a lawyer and also a former employee of a regulatory agency, to advise us. We are constantly communicating with each other. We meet at least once a month with all the partners on the phone. We discuss progress, and we discuss all the issues we have, and sometimes we have over 20 voices on one phone call. But importantly, what we try to do is we try to meet once a year in person. So this is a picture of our partners who met in Japan recently. And of course, in order to protect their, to maintain their trust and protect their identity, you don't get to see their faces. But what I have learned from this group is that it's really great to have a diversity. So in our group, we have a number of different geographical backgrounds, work cultures, and of course, staff and expertise. Now, I've learned a lot over the past couple of years from working with this diverse group of players. I will be the first to admit that collaboration can sometimes take a long time with a diverse group of people at first. You need to learn how to speak each other's language. Me, as a toxicologist who's really into the three-eyed fish, I've been trained to look for extreme effects. When I first started my nanotoxicology research, I was secretly hoping that I would sprinkle some nanomaterials into a goldfish bowl and poof, it would turn into a chicken. That'd be so cool. Okay, that wouldn't be that cool in terms of environmental and health and safety, but it'd be cool, right? Right, this is exactly why it's good to have a diversity in our group of players. We have our marketing team who makes sure that I stay focused on commercial priorities. It's also really important to have product engineers to keep us grounded. They make sure that the concentrations that we use in our safety test match the concentrations used in real products. And I really love working with the chemists, I really do. They make sure that every single detail is correct. Of course, it's also important to have the organizer and the leader who make sure that we're all staying on track and also protecting the intellectual property of all of our partners. And, of course, this diversity has helped us as we've gone through our project. We have run into a number of roadblocks. In the very first safety study that we did, I couldn't figure out why on earth the cellulose was so thick and would not get through the feeding tube. Well, we had one scientist that learned how to dry the material so that it was not changing its properties, and another scientist who could mix it into the dry feed so I could use it. In the next study, we were having problems tracking the material. These materials are very small, and once you mix them into feed, you can't find them anymore. Well, one of our chemists added a fluorescent dye, and we were able to find it later on. In yet another study, the feces were green. Well, a biologist figured out that the feed that the commercial lab was using was dyed green in order to identify it. P.S. That biologist was me. I'm pretty proud of that one. Anyways, our project is nearing its end, and I am very happy to report that we have not seen any three-eyed animals. After 4 years of working together with this community, we are feeling more and more confident about the safety of our cellulose nanomaterials in food. What else have we gained? Well, all of our partners will have regulatory authorization for their product. They will also have access to all the methods that we've developed that are going to help them test the next generation of their materials much more efficiently and much quicker. We have also been able to save public and government resources because we submitted one dossier instead of 7. And most importantly, we have built the trust up in this group. So this group has been working so well together, and after the end of this project, they've decided to work together to continue to tackle the NICS market. We've even generated enough excitement that we've had groups coming to us and asking to join our community. And so we're hoping that this concept of building a community of competitors can be used in other fields in order to accelerate safe innovation. And so what I'm asking all of you to do is to please look around, look for your competitors, and figure out how you can develop traitorous cooperation with the enemy. Look around and figure out how you can build a community of competitors to achieve your goals.